the cloud. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Art 186, Computer Graphics with Adobe Illustrator for the spring semester 2022. Today, we're going to be working with color in Illustrator. It's the first of a couple of lessons that we'll work with pertaining to color. Right now, it's covering the basic color systems that you should all be familiar with. It's learning how to create and to save colors. It's learning how to create tints and work, not with libraries yet, we will, but in a later date. And in a later date, we'll also work with gradients, gradient fills, and the different kinds of gradients that you can work with and stuff that can make a very complex and interesting illustration. Right now, the illustrations that you see are kind of flat, two-dimensional graphic. And that's fine. That's all good. Okay. But what we can do here is, first, I want to introduce you to the different color modes. By default, when you go to File, New, let's do it this way first to show you that if you select something for print, now here's a printed document, any of these are print, you'll notice that the color mode down here is set to CMYK. That's the color system that's used for printing offset lithography. So what it stands for is cyan, which is blue, magenta, which is red, yellow, and K stands for black. Okay, now, if you're working for mobile devices, if you're working especially for the web, notice that it changes. Now we have RGB color. RGB color is the color that you see on your monitor. It stands, those are the primary colors with using light is your basic color system. And it stands for red, green, blue, okay? As opposed to, no, I've forgotten. Your basic colors wouldn't be green, it'd be red, yellow, blue, right? Am I right on that? Geez, I've been doing this for how many years? And now I'm suddenly thinking about it. Anyway, those are two principal color systems. The third that you'll be working with, let me go ahead and close this, is that if you are designing for the web, there are colors that are common to both the Mac and the PC. And there are only 216 colors that are common to both systems. And what you would do then is you would pull out the little color panel, as I've done here. It's at the top, the one with the little palette. And then what we're going to do is we're going to click in the upper right-hand corner, and you'll notice that we have the color systems that are available here. We have CMYK, that's the default, RGB for anything that's going to be, available on your screen. But if it's going to be on a web page, you're probably going to want to choose web safe colors. And so within these color ranges, it limits you to the colors that you can select. And you'll notice that there are the hexadecimal numbers that are available for the colors to the right and also below. So for those of you who are working in web design or have worked or plan on working in web design, the color callouts oftentimes are used that are down here. You start with the £, or it's called an octothorpe or a hashtag, whatever you want to call it. And then with a specific 6-digit number and numeral and or letter, okay? Now, for us though, when we go back up here and I switch and I go back to CMYK, notice that again, now we have the 4 colors, cyan, magenta, yellow, and black. And we can pick from this color spectrum down here, or if you've been assigned a specific color, you can put in the percentages. For example, this green that we're starting off with in this file has 50% cyan, which is the blue, and then it has 0% magenta. There's no red in this, and it has 100% yellow. So if you combine, for those of you who've had color theory, maybe, the color wheel, that that if you combine blue and yellow, you get green. And depending on the percentages that you use, that's what you get. If you want to dirty up the color a little bit or darken it, create a shade, then we can add some black to it. A variety of other colors here. Okay. Now, there are more color libraries, for example, that we will be using in a later lesson. One, for example, are called lab colors. And those are, we will actually be using some of those in this assignment too, but there are Pantone colors. They are usually used only for print. And if you want a custom color that doesn't relate to the CMYK or RGB or anything, it's a color that is specifically mixed, that when you print it, it will be that and nothing else. You can always create tints and shades of it, but those will be Pantone colors or lab colors. Okay. So it's important to note that when you, by default, when you create a file in here, it's in Illustrator, it's thinking that it's going to be for print and it automatically selects CMYK. But if you know it's going to be for the web, then you're going to want to switch and you're going to want to use web safe colors, or at the very least use RGB. Okay. Now, if you're not careful though, in designing for the web, there will be some color shifts if you don't use web safe colors. Okie doke. So the first thing that they want us to do is how to select, how to create colors, how to save colors in our color palette. So they start with this little swatch here and the snowboard. Okie doke. So what we can do is when I select it, if we look over to our properties panel, you can see that we have the fill, which is the green, and we have the stroke, which is none, which all of you should already be familiar with. But if I bring up our color palette here, you can see that what is highlighted here, it's duplicated what is here. And I can see that I have that green. And if I want to pick another color, I can. Or what I can also do is I can select my color wheel here, or if you want, not color wheel, but we can select the color palette here, and I can put in some specific colors here. Now, I believe they have added already, I'm looking here to make sure, they had a specific light orange that they want us to add here. And we can also name them as well. So let me see here. They wanted it. Come on. Oh, I see it. Okay. Page 215, section 4. So what I can do now with it selected or not, I can go ahead and create a new color for myself. So now what we want to do is 0% cyan. So if and it will change automatically when we do this, but we're going to want to save the color and rename it. Okay, you can name colors so that and create color libraries for yourself and that sort of thing. So we're going to select 0% cyan. You can see that it switches to yellow pretty quickly. And then we're going to want 20% magenta, which is going to turn it into an orange. Okay. So it's worthwhile playing with these if you want. And then yellow, we're going to go with 65%. You can see how it changes on the fly here. You have really incredible control over color in Illustrator. There's a whole slew of things that you can do that we will cover in about 2 or 3 lessons versus if you were taking Photoshop, it wouldn't be quite so much. because it's used all the time in graphic design, that there are companies, for example, that have very specific color systems that have been developed for them that have to be exactly the same from, document to document, and from no matter what it is that you design for them. There's no, there's that Coke can with the red, that is very specific. And you probably won't find it in the CMYK. It will be a Pantone color. Okay, so I've created our color. I'm going to go ahead and close this, or I will go ahead and open up our color swatches. And what I want to do is I want to add this color. So all I have to do is click down here where it says a little new swatch, and I click the plus, and I can name it here. Now, if you leave it unnamed, it will give you the color callouts for it: cyan, magenta, yellow, and black. And it will give you the percentages, which is really kind of nice, rather than trying to have to guess later on. That if you were going to work on a team or have to assign that color in the color callouts to somebody else that you're working with, you could give them the specific numbers. But if you want for yourself, so that you don't have to hunt for this again, just go ahead and we'll rename it. And we're going to click OK. They wanted us to name it light orange, I think. So light, whoops, I can't type. Light orange. Okay, and I click OK. Notice that it's been added to our color wheel or color palette. Now, another thing that you should take note of is that notice that it is surrounded in a white box with a little check mark in the lower right-hand color. If I double click on that color, it brings that back up. And you'll notice that what this does is that you'll see by default, the little check mark where it says global. Okay, if I have used that color anywhere else, so for example, let's go ahead and deselect here, and just in the background, we're going to be changing this in a minute, but I'm going to select this yellow back here. And let's say I were to use that color here. Okay, I want it to look like a sunset or something like that. And then I decided later on, you know what? I don't like the color that I'm using here. I want it to change it to a blue or a green or something like that. So if I were to select the blue, okay, and deselect, or actually, no, that's not what I'm talking about. Let's go ahead and select this again, double click on it, and I'm going to edit the color now. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to bring all the, the cyan up. And let's look at preview. Notice that it changed the other color as well. Now, if you don't want that, then you need to make sure that you have global colors deselected. Okay. So that's one way of working with colors. Very effective. So when you get acclimated to working with these on a day-to-day basis, you'll be able to make quick changes and work very efficiently in Illustrator, okay, without much muss or fuss. Now, for example, another thing that we can do too, let's say I want this background color that is currently orange. Let's say I want it to be the blue that I see here in the mountains, okay, as an example, okay. Well, what I can do is I can use the, where is it over here? I want it to be, there we go. I want the eyedropper here. And that's going to suck up the color even without, you'll notice that it changed in the background color, or in the fill color, I should say. And then if I come up here over the shape that I want changed, if I hold down the Option key, it changes from sucking up the color to spilling it out. And now when I click over that, notice that it changes. So it's very easy to, to start with certain colors and then to go back and to make whatever changes that you want with them. Likewise, I can go ahead and I can hit these little colors over here and make changes. Whoa, I didn't want that. Let's go ahead. No, I don't know why that orange is not being selected right here. Okay, so I want that selected. So let me take a look here. I'm going to hit Command Y. And I'm going to use the direct selection tool. So if that happens to you, I'm going to select this little shape right here. And now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to fill it with that color. So if I go ahead and select option, nope, I don't want that color. But I'm going to make sure that it's selected. So I'm going to hit Command Y to bring it back. And then I'm with the eyedropper tool. Let's go ahead and suck that up. No. I have the wrong shape selected. So as you can see, I'm telling you on the one hand, it's really easy to make certain changes. And on the other hand, it can be a real pain. Now, probably what I would want to do instead is that since this is divided into two shapes, let's use the group selection tool. Let's come back here. I'm going to try this. This isn't in the lesson, obviously. But again, let me hit Command Y. Let's see why it isn't selecting here. There we go. So that's selected. And now, since if I've already saved the color, I can go ahead and apply it. But what I want to do is, and I should have saved that into the library to make sure that it is saved. Then I could go ahead and apply it pretty easily. But as soon as you select the shape, it automatically, in the color pickers will determine what color that is. And you can see that it is that light orange fill that we wanted to use here in our skateboard deck. Or not skateboard deck, but snowboard. Okay, well, I'm going to leave that alone for the time being. So I'm going to deselect, hit Command Y, and bring it back. Okay, so that was creating a custom color. Now, if you want to make a copy of a color swatch, for example, we can do that too. We can also select this color. Okay, and if I click and I drag it onto the plus swatch, notice that it made a duplicate of it. So maybe you want one of them to be a global color and one of them not. So I'll double click here and it says light orange 2. So it knows automatically to change the name of it. But this one I'm going to make so that the light orange color is not global. So it won't be affected anywhere else. Okay. There, now it's selected. Now I can go ahead and I can, let me go back again. It's really bugging me that it's doing this. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to select the eyedropper and I'm going to select in here. There we go. And I'm going to add it because I don't know where it is in the palette. And I'm going to call it light blue, just light blue. Okay. And I'm not going to make it global, just to be on the safe side. And it's added it. Notice that that little tick mark is missing now. And now what I can do with that color selected, with the eyedropper tool, I can hit the Option or Alt key and click. Oh, whoa. Let's come back here. Option, Alt, click. There we go. When the eyedropper was right on that little shape, it would not select it. But what I can do is I can click here and it brings that light blue up. Hold down the Option or Alt key. There you go. Now it matches. Now you can't see the little corner edge from there. So anyway, very efficient and easy ways of creating colors and copying colors. All you have to do is select the color. If you want to get rid of a color, you simply select it and make sure that nothing is selected in your artboard. And now if I hit the trash can, it will get rid of it. And if you discover right afterwards that you didn't want to do that, hit Command Z and it brings it back. Remember, Command Z is your friend. You have lots of options available for you there. So let's go ahead and let's create another color here. I'm going to change the value. I'm going to select a global color that we're going to change the background here. So what I want to do is I want to click the word. Oh, there we go. We're going to go ahead down here and I'm going to select the word north. So what I can do though, and I want to change the color to the orange. So let's go ahead and select the color north. And let's go ahead and also select the color cascades. So hold down the shift key. Now both of them are selected. And now if I select the global color that I just created, we've got the new color applied to both. Now to do that in Photoshop, you can't do that. You'd have to isolate each of the letter forms and apply it. In Illustrator, you're able to select the whole words just by selecting it with the main selection tool, object selection tool, and then change the colors. And I'm using the color picker right now, or rather the swatch. Another option for you too is what we haven't done yet is we can use the color picker. Now where that is found is by clicking here, double clicking on it, and it brings up this color picker. Now while this is selected, I can move anywhere within the rainbow here, the color spectrum. Okay, like so. Let's go to a deep brown or blue and select blue. And if I select web safe colors only, it will give me those restricted colors that I was talking about. Now I can go ahead and if I want, I can look at it. There's also hue, saturation, and brightness, which I never use anymore. But again, it gives you the RGB values. It gives you the hexadecimal number in case you want to use that for web design. And it gives you the CMYK call out numbers. So if I want to go ahead and I want to bring up color swatches, I can do that I already have. Okay, turn that off and it brings back our rainbow color spectrum. And if I click OK, notice that it's changed the color. So you have those options there. If I click on the fill color here, notice that again, I was talking before about the redundancy in here, that not only do you have it in the swatches there, when you click on any one on the fill or the stroke, it will bring up the swatch panel here. Likewise, when I were to select this color, this little button over here with the palette, it brings up the same thing that I have up here, our color, like a color wheel, color palette, with the color spectrum at the bottom and the color callouts here and to the right. So there's lots of different ways of changing color. Not only here, but I've let go or haven't mentioned our options menu at the top. I can also click up here. And again, I have the same thing. I have my swatch panel up here. And if I click here, there we go. So lots of different places to change color. There's no one way of doing it. And I'm going to go back and hit Command Z to bring that back. Okie doke. So what I also want to do is I want to select the color that we have here. Let's do that. And I'm going to go ahead and since this may or may not be a global color, if I make it a global color, then I could go ahead and I could go back in here and let's look at here. Let's change the value of this, the cyan, from almost 50 to 80. So you can always change it, or maybe change the value to 3. Let's go back up. There you go. So it's very easy to swap out and to change colors here. Very easy. Okie doke. So any questions so far? Let me check real quick here. And let's move on to our next subject here. I think I've covered everything. I'm sure I'm missing something. Oh, snowboard, let's select that. And they want us to use pink in there. Now I can't remember whether it's already a pink swatch or not. Let's switch swatches. And I'm just going to select this one here. It's magenta. Now you can also create a custom color for that too, but they do give you the basic colors there. Okay. And there we go. And we can apply it either with selecting the object and clicking on a swatch, or selecting the color by using the color spectrum up here, or we can also do that by using our color palette up here. Any way works, whatever is efficient for you. Okie doke. So let's go ahead and let's move on to the next section here. I think I've done it correctly. If not, then, let's see. Could probably need to go back and change this background color here. I think they still want it orange. It's really kind of unimportant. But I'll go back and I'll use the color that we created here. There we go. So again, nothing in Illustrator that I can think of is a permanent change. Nothing at all. You can just change to your heart's content. For example, notice that if I go ahead, and I forgot to do Washington down here. So again, if I select the eyedropper tool, I click over the color, the orange here, and without even selecting it, go ahead and hold down the Option or Alt key, move over the type. But notice what it did. It not only added the properties of the color, but also the font and the size. So I didn't want to do that. So what I do need to do then is in that case, there are ways of changing that. If you double click on the eyedropper tool, it brings up all the options that it's going to do for you. That the eyedropper picks up, it can say right now, transparency, focal fill, color, transparency, overprint, character style, which is what it did here, and paragraph style. So it added all those. And then when you hold down the Option or Alt key, you can also decide what is it going to take up from those in print. So if I change this and I turned off character style and paragraph style, and I clicked OK, and I selected this again, notice that orange is there. Now when I hold down the Option or Alt key and I click over the Washington, no, it's still doing that. So I need to go back here. It didn't bring them up, but it did. Let's go ahead and turn off focal stroke. And focal fill, we do want focal fill and color and transparency. I don't want to change the character style and the paragraph style. Click OK. Now if I go back over here and I click on it, whoops, Option. No, let's go back. Option or Alt. Now it just changed that. So those are the settings that you have to change to make sure that it works. I should probably go back in because I've forgotten what I did here. I'm going to turn these back on, and I'm going to turn all of these back on too. Just to leave the default settings because it's easy to forget. I do all the time what I've turned on and off, and then you have to go back and you have to reset your Illustrator in order to make sure everything is working properly. So let's move on to the next step here. And what we're going to do is we're going to use Color Picker. Okay, if I select the object here, again, as I said, it automatically picks up the color for the fill and for the stroke. Now, in this particular instance, the shape does not have a stroke. So now what I can do with it selected, I can go ahead and I can put in the color callouts as I've done before. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do. If I come over here and I select the color picker, now what I can do is I can move over and either put in the color callouts, and because we're working in CMYK, I'm just going to go ahead and cyan is going to be 50. Magenta is going to go way up to 90 because right now there is no magenta. And let's go ahead and we have yellow is 5%. And we have black is 0. And you can see that it's the new color. So I click here, it changes it. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click on here to add this color just to be safe and to know that I can bring it up at any time. I might already have it in my library, but in case I don't, then it'll go ahead and add it. So the purple, and click OK, and I have global colors turned off. So now it's added it to my palette. If there's redundancy, there's redundancy. You'll also notice that we have all of our colors here, okay, in our palette, but it also adds gradients and it adds some default, those are the default gradients, and it adds some default patterns. If you want to view this differently, you can always click here under this little button in the upper hand corner to the right. If you want, you can select, instead of small thumbnails, medium or large, you can open swatch libraries from here, which we will get to on another lesson. You can delete swatches from here. You can duplicate swatches here. Now, I showed you in the panel how to duplicate swatches and how to delete swatches, but you can also do it from here. Okay, so there's a whole bunch of different ways of doing these things. Let's see, there's, what do I want to do? I'm going to go ahead and leave it just as is. Now, the next thing that they wanted us to do is to, with this, we wanted to change the color and create a tint. So we're going to use Pantone Colors. So if I select this color here, let's see if this is a Pantone color or not. And with this selected, it's, I don't see which color is selected here. It may not be. So let's go ahead and select a Pantone color. And Pantone colors are the lab colors that I was talking about. So I'm going to select this. Actually, let's deselect it for a moment. And what I want to do is under color libraries, I'm going to come under here and I'm going to say color books. And then I can come over here and notice that there's all these different color books that we have available to us. Well, I'm going to select the Pantone CMYK coded. Okay. And then what I'm going to do, because I want to make sure that I use the color that they want for us, is where the little magnifying glass is, I can put in the numbers that they specify. Typically, you need a Pantone book that gives you all the numbers in order to pick a specific color more easily than have to scroll through all of them. So the one that I want here is going to be, and there is a difference between coded and uncoded colors. And what that does is that refers to the kind of paper that you will be printing it on. If the paper stock is coded and it's been calendared, then you have to use a specific color for that. If the paper is uncoated and it absorbs color more, the ink, when it's printed, then you would want to use a color for that. Okay, specific to that. So they want 7562. So I'll put in 7562. Okay. I guess we want C. Well, let's see if it comes up here. No, so why not? Did I use the right colors or no? 7562. Oh, yeah. So let me go back again. Let's put in no color and bring that back. And then let's try again. I want Pantone CMYK coated. And why it's not popping up, I don't know. I want 75, 62. So 75, okay, 62, nothing comes up. I'll be a monkey's uncle. Why isn't that coming up? So let me try again, because I'm messing up here. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to close this. And I'm going to go back again and look at the color libraries and make sure that I selected the right book that matches the one that we're using in the lesson. Okay, so let's go back again. We have, which one is it? It's color, just told you. Color library here. So I want color books. I want Pantone coated. That's the one that I want. There's a whole bunch of them here. And I want to make sure that I'm picking the same ones that the book is using. Let's try again. Let's take that out of there. And let's just scroll down to find the brown. And if I click in here in any of these, the color should pop up. P. So maybe it's P for Pantone. And then I'll just type in Pantone. $65, 72. Nope. Let's see. Let's try again. That have to be a capital C. No. No space. Sometimes it gets very picky. So let's go ahead and scroll over this and let's find the appropriate color. I'm just supposed to put 75, 62, and I've done this a gazillion times. And it's not popping up. Why? Why? Huh. Maybe they've eliminated that color since we did this. Pantone solid color. So maybe I need to go back for that. Again, if you guys have trouble with this, as I am right now, then we can go back again to color library. And again, we want Pantone. So we want, not default, color books, Pantone coated, Pantone plus solid coated. So why don't we have bridge coated? Where's the solid coated? Neon, metallic coated. I don't know what I'm doing wrong, because now to hunt through this and to find that color, that brown color, they may have changed the colors. That could be an issue too. It's not likely, but it could. Notice that where I'm looking in here, and I don't see any of the matching colors. So that could be 75-62. So what if it's 75-62 or 62? No. No. I'm wasting your time here. But I'm having issues with this. And so if I'm having issues, good chance you are too. So what I'm going to do is define a color that's very similar to the one that I see here. I'm going to go ahead, and if it's not in the library, I'm going to go ahead and click on here and add it to our library, like so. I'm going to double click on it, and let's make it global. And let's go to spot color. And let's make our own spot color. Let's click on preview. Because sometimes the CMYK and the spot colors won't match. Okay, so it's a spot color now. I'm going to click it. And now what I'll do is I can click in here, now that I've added that, and it looks very similar to a global color, but it's not. So if I select in here and I click it, it will match this one. But now what I want to do is I want to create a tint. So with this color selected, let's select out here. And let's select this, but I want to create a tint of it. So now if I click under color guide, no, here, there we go. If I click back under here, because this is a Pantone color, I can now specify a tint from that. Now, I don't remember what the book wants here, but I'm going to leave that about here. Okay, so we have a tint of it. So it's the same color, same Pantone color, but just a little bit lighter. And if I want, I can go ahead and I can add that to our color library as well. So we also have not only the color at 100%, but we also have it as a tint as well. And then if you want, you can see these little folders here. You can create your own color groups if you wish. Here are the primary and secondary colors. Here are your grayscale. And there are libraries and libraries of these colors that are available to get you started and to get in the range of doing, to get you started with a project if you're really kind of clueless into what color to use. So I've copied the appearance attributes. What we can also do is we can come up here to this little button right here, where you see the little fan. And we have color guides here. Now, if you want to pick a tint, or if you want to use from any one of these colors that we've already created, if you want to use this as our main color, and you want to pick a tint or a shade from that, we can do that here. So let's go back to the original brown color as our main color that's selected. And you notice how it changes. Now, if I come back here, I can pick a tint from here as well, or a shade, or I can pick complementary colors. Right now, this is tints. But if I come up and select this little button right here, I can also switch, and this is set to tetrad, 2 different variations here, but I can also select compounds. I can also high contrast, or we can select triads. We have any number of options for us. The selection choice is just overwhelming. Not only can we create, as I said, some very basic colors, but you can create some really complicated color schemes as well. To create your own, all we have to do is we can create a new, let's go down here, and I'm going to create a new folder here, and I'll call it my color group, or like so. So I have a new color group, and I've added the one that was selected, and let's say I want that other brown one to go in there. So as I'm working through, I can create these color groups. Color groups can be created any number of ways, but this is the most common one here. Okay, so I think we have everything applying from color guide. We have, if I wanted to select, let's do that. Let's go ahead and select this one here. let's bring up the color guide. And I'm going to go back to, I have tints, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back here to complementary colors. And let's select this blue. Okay, and then what I want to do here is let's go ahead and let's select a light blue here. Select, and while it's selected here, it will change. Okay. Now, nothing at the moment is happening. So let's go back to, oh, because I went back again. Let's go back to here, our blue. And I'm messing up again here. Because we want to select, oh, never mind, wrong color group here. Let's go back again. I'm going to deselect and undo. There we go. I'm going to go back to that one. Let's go back to this one. Let's change this to a green. So I'll select this one. And using the same color scheme that we had before, I can go ahead and let's select the green here. And then from that, we can, with that key color selected, and now from that, if I select this one, I can create a color tint. If I select that, notice that very quickly I can change color schemes. So this is the one that I wanted to do. I'm running up against the 3 o'clock hour. There is a separate file here that we're supposed to do that I did the other day. But I can show you what we can do here. So this is the end file for part 2. We have the skateboard deck, or the, not skateboard deck, but it looks like a skateboard deck. It's a snowboard. And if we look at the start file, you can see that I have the original warm colors here. If I make a quick selection of this, like so, and I select all the colors in here. If I go ahead and let me close this so I don't get confused. If I click this little button right here, this is to recolor the artwork. So if I click here, and I move this little panel over here, notice that I have a color wheel here. And it shows all the colors that exist in the object that I've selected. It also has, right now, the main color is the one that's selected. If I want to affect this one, then it's highlighted in black and so forth and so on. If I want to change the color scheme and I want to keep the relationship of all of these the same, all I do is I click and I drag like so. And notice how it recolors the whole thing. That's really cool. So you can create from this new color themes. It really is kind of mind-boggling to do so many of these. So let's go back and reset. So it goes back to the original one. Now, another thing that I can do is that these are all linked, but what if I don't want it linked? If I only want to change the orange and nothing else? So if I click here, so that they aren't linked, I can move this one. Let's say I move it here. So I'm only affecting that color in my artwork and nothing else. Okay. Now, here's also a color theme picker. So let's go back and reset again. And I can select from here. And I can come over here. And what if I select the orange? And it's bringing a very specific color in here. Now, it looks really good. It's, you know, I'm not a colorist, so I have my particular leanings towards certain colors over others. But it makes it very easy to create a whole new palette of colors. Okay. Now, color library, we have none. Colors, we're setting to auto. We can also, these are the prominent colors in this piece. I can always reset if I don't like what I've done. I can always go back and it automatically, when I reset it, it's linking it. Okay. I can also go to these little buttons here And I can recolor the artwork from here and notice what I'm doing. So I can pick different color themes. Let's go back and reset. And I can click this one here. And again, it's picking from another color theme. Reset. Just the options are limitless. And I do mean limitless. Now, if you want, you can also pick from a color library. And we haven't really talked about color libraries yet. They have art history, so ancient colors, Baroque colors, Impressionistic colors, celebration colors. These are all kind of arbitrary. We just use the color books. And I created my own spot color since I couldn't find their Pantone color that I wanted. And it's very possible that Pantone changed their numbering system from the time this book was released. There's metallic colors, colors in nature. So beach colors, flower colors, foliage, landscape. Let's select landscape colors. And you can see that they have broken them down into these different categories. Okay, so let's use the color theme picker. And you can see that it's picking from, let's go ahead and reset. And it brings us back. Now the color difference wasn't all that great. If I go back again to the color library and let's pick from foods, fruit, beverages, ice cream. Let's pick from fruit. Okay, and let's go ahead and move this around like so. And it recolorizes it just in an instant. I'm going to reset again and go back and we're done. So you can pick color schemes from photographs. You can pick them from color libraries. You can do any number of things. You can pick it from here. That if I go ahead and let's pick color theme picker, and let's go over here and let's pick from here. Let's see if this. There we go. So now I've taken the colors from my dinosaur and I've applied them to the skateboard deck. So that's another direction we can go. Very cool. So not only can it be taken from a photograph, it can be taken from existing artwork. And for those of you, the next project is a skateboard deck to create, uniformity, or if you're working with various color schemes, maybe one is color scheme is really bright colors, and the other one is more muted colors, or that you would see in nature or foliage colors, or you want bright ice cream colors. This would be the way to go. So you would already create your artwork, and then you could go back and create a single color theme, and then go back and based on that one color theme, use these systems here to create variations of it. I don't know if you guys remembered, but I did this the other day. So we're running up against the 3 o'clock hour, so I'm not going to repeat it, but if you'd like, I will do that next week. If you recall, I said, I have in my this week in class, I have a medical thing that I have to take care of. So I'm canceling our webinar this Thursday, but we'll be back next Tuesday. And I can finish this up or we can work with the next lesson. I can go over this again. Because the next step will be adding type. And that will be an important part of your next assignment too. Okay, do we have any questions today before we leave? Yes, no? I hope, okay. Is everybody else good? No questions for me? I have the feeling, well, I'm going to go over it again and I will find out where I messed up. If I did mess up with the Pantone colors, because they may have changed their coloring system. And if so, the textbook would be already out of date, and it's quite possible. you know, by putting in that one number, it's just not going to come up anymore. And to hunt and peck through those thousands of colors is ridiculous. You usually are given a swatch and with a number on it, and you plug it in like the textbook is given us. And then you go forward and use it, maybe add it to your color library, and you're set to go. Okay, no one else? No other comments? It came up on yours that you had issues, Rogelio? Oh, it did come up on yours. Okay, then no issues. Then I'm going to have to check. And when I'm talking to you guys and the minutes are passing, I can't figure out sometimes on the fly what's going on. So I'll go back again and I'll check and see what, maybe I missed something. I don't think so, but if it's coming up on yours, then we're good to go. But you can create, you know, from CMYK, you can create your own spot color and name it whatever you want. And then you can create a tint from it, as I did. Okay, well, I'm glad that you don't have any issues. That's good. Good to hear. Okay, so I will have this posted in about an hour or so, and I will see everybody Tuesday, okay? So in the meantime, I'm going to pause the recording. I'm going to say goodbye, and everybody have a good weekend. And I plan on looking, let's see. If you turned in your mask late, I should get to it this weekend, but everybody should be working on the skateboard deck. And if there's more that you want me to talk about with regard to the skateboard deck, I can do that on Tuesday as well. Okay. Okay. Thank you so much. Okay, everybody. Bye-bye. You too. Have a good day. Have a good week.